What happens when you take an animal, pause, remove air, remove water, remove protection, and throw it into space? Look at Earth from orbit, spinning silently in the void, surrounded by nothing but cold, merciless vacuum. Almost every creature on Earth, the answer is death. Instant, absolute, irreversible death. No organism could survive that. No mammal, no insect, no reptile. The laws of biology make it impossible, but not this one. Somewhere on this planet, hidden in plain sight, exists a creature so extraordinary, so impossibly resilient, that scientists still struggle to fully explain what it is capable of. It has survived conditions that would obliterate virtually every other form of life on Earth. And in 2008, it did something that rewrote our understanding of biology entirely. It survived open space. This is the story of the tardigrade, and by the end, you will never look at survival the same way again. This animal is so small you have probably never seen one, not once in your entire life, despite the fact that they are almost certainly living near you right now. The tardigrade measures roughly 0.5 millimeter in length. To see one clearly, you need a microscope. Under that lens, something remarkable appears. 8 stubby legs, a barrel-shaped body, a tiny, almost alien face with a circular mouth built for piercing and feeding. It moves slowly, almost lazily, crawling through moss, soil, and the thin films of water that cling to leaves and rocks. It looks harmless, it looks fragile, it looks like something that would collapse under the slightest pressure. But size can be deeply, profoundly deceiving. Scientists have found tardigrades on every single continent, including Antarctica. They live in the deepest ocean trenches and on the highest mountain peaks. They exist in hot springs and frozen tundra. Wherever water exists, even briefly, tardigrades find a way to thrive. There are over 1,300 known species of tardigrade, each one carrying the same extraordinary biological toolkit. A toolkit that has been refined over 500 million years of evolution. For context, that means tardigrades were already ancient when the dinosaurs first appeared. They have outlasted mass extinctions, ice ages, and catastrophic planetary events, and the reason why begins with something that sounds almost impossible. Scientists froze them. Not slightly chilled, not refrigerated, frozen to temperatures approaching absolute zero. We are talking about negative 272 degrees Celsius. That is 1 degree above the coldest temperature physically possible in the universe. At those temperatures, molecular motion nearly stops entirely. Chemical reactions cease, biological processes collapse. For virtually any living organism, exposure to those temperatures means permanent, irreversible cellular destruction. Ice crystals form inside cells and tear them apart from within. There is no coming back from that. And yet the tardigrade survived. Researchers at universities across Europe and Japan have repeatedly subjected tardigrades to extreme cold and repeatedly watched them emerge intact. The secret lies in a process called cryptobiosis, a state of suspended animation so complete that the animal essentially stops being alive in any conventional sense. Its metabolism drops to less than 0.01% of normal. It stops moving, it stops breathing, it stops consuming energy. But it does not die, it waits, frozen solid, motionless, suspended between life and death. It simply waits. But freezing was not enough for the scientists studying this creature. They needed to push further. Then researchers removed its water entirely. Water is the foundation of all known life. Every biological process, every chemical reaction inside a living cell depends on water. Remove it completely and life stops. Permanently, scientists assumed. They placed tardigrades in environments with zero humidity and watched as the creatures slowly shriveled. Their bodies contracted inward, folding into a tiny, desiccated husk called a ton. No movement. No detectable metabolism. No visible signs of life whatsoever. To any outside observer, the tardigrade appeared completely dead. Researchers left them in this state for years. Some experiments extended beyond a decade. The husks sat motionless, dry, apparently lifeless. And then came the moment that shocked the scientific community. Water returned. Just a few drops, just enough moisture to reach the shriveled body of the ton. What happened next challenged everything researchers thought they understood about the boundary between life and death. It woke up, not slowly, not partially, fully, completely, and apparently without any lasting damage. Within hours of rehydration, the tardigrade was moving again, feeding again, reproducing again, as if the years of complete desiccation had simply never happened. The biological mechanism behind this is extraordinary. When water is removed, tardigrades produce a sugar called trehalose, which forms a glass-like protective matrix around their cells and internal structures. This biological glass preserves everything in perfect suspension, preventing the cellular collapse that would kill any other organism. When water returns, the glass dissolves and the cells resume function exactly where they left off. Scientists described it as biological time travel. The animal essentially pauses itself, stores its own life in a crystalline structure, and resumes when conditions improve. It is one of the most remarkable biological adaptations ever documented. But the researchers were not finished. They had more tests, more extreme conditions, and one of them was about to push the tardigrade into territory that seemed genuinely impossible. They exposed it to extreme radiation, not background radiation, not the kind you might encounter in an airport scanner. We are talking about ionizing radiation at levels thousands of times higher than what would kill a human being. A lethal dose of radiation for a human is around 500 rem. The tardigrade has been shown to survive doses exceeding 500,000 rem. That is 1,000 times the lethal human dose. Radiation at those levels destroys DNA. It shreds the molecular instructions that tell cells how to function and replicate. For most organisms, that kind of damage is catastrophic and permanent. But tardigrades carry a unique protein called damage suppressor, or DSUP, which physically shields their DNA from radiation-induced destruction. Scientists have since extracted this protein and successfully introduced it into human cells in laboratory settings, where it reduced radiation damage by approximately 40%. The tardigrade is not just surviving extreme conditions, it is carrying biological tools that could one day protect human life. And then someone asked the question that changed everything. If it survived everything on Earth, could it survive space? In 2007, the European Space Agency launched an experiment called PhotonM3. Attached to the outside of the spacecraft were containers holding living tardigrades, not protected inside a pressurized cabin, not shielded behind thick walls. Mounted on the exterior of the spacecraft, exposed directly to the environment of low Earth orbit. No oxygen, no atmosphere, no protection from solar ultraviolet radiation, which in space is roughly 1,000 times more intense than at Earth's surface. The vacuum of space causes liquids to boil and evaporate instantly. Temperatures swing between positive 120 degrees and negative 100 degrees Celsius within a single orbit. Cosmic radiation streams through unimpeded. It is, by every biological measure, the most hostile environment imaginable. The tardigrades floated there for 10 days. And when the spacecraft returned and scientists opened the containers, they examined what remained. When the experiment ended and scientists examined the survivors, the results were extraordinary. Against all expectations, a significant portion of the tardigrades were not only alive, but capable of reproduction. Some had even laid eggs during the exposure period, eggs that hatched successfully after return. The ones exposed to vacuum alone showed the highest survival rates. Those additionally exposed to full solar ultraviolet radiation showed lower but still remarkable survival numbers. It was the first confirmed instance of any animal surviving open space exposure. The scientific community responded with a mixture of astonishment and immediate curiosity. If a multicellular animal could survive space, what did that mean for our understanding of life's limits? What did it mean for the possibility of life existing elsewhere in the universe? The tardigrade had not just survived another test. It had fundamentally expanded the definition of where life can exist. Mass extinctions have wiped out countless species throughout Earth's history. The asteroid that ended the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. The Permian extinction that eliminated nearly 96% of all marine species. Each event reshaped life on this planet entirely, but creatures like the tardigrade raise a genuinely fascinating question. If humanity disappeared tomorrow, what would remain? Researchers at Oxford and Harvard published a study examining which organisms could survive astrophysical catastrophes, including nearby supernova explosions, gamma-ray bursts, and large asteroid impacts. Their conclusion was striking. Tardigrades would likely survive all of them. Their ability to enter cryptobiosis means they can outlast virtually any temporary catastrophe. As long as Earth's oceans remain, tardigrades will almost certainly persist. They are, in the most literal scientific sense, nearly indestructible, and that raises something even more profound. We share this planet with an animal that may genuinely outlast us. It cannot run. It moves at a pace so slow it barely registers as motion. It cannot fight. It has no claws, no venom, no armor visible to the naked eye. It cannot hunt. It grazes on algae and plant cells, entirely passive in its feeding. By every conventional measure of survival, the tardigrade should be fragile, insignificant, forgettable. And yet it may be one of the toughest animals ever to exist on this planet. 500 million years of evolution have produced something that defies our intuitions about strength and survival. The tardigrade does not survive through power or speed or aggression. It survives through an almost incomprehensible biological patience. It waits out every catastrophe. It endures every extreme. It simply refuses on a molecular level to stop existing. The next time you walk across a patch of moss or feel a drop of rain, remember that hidden in that tiny, invisible world lives an animal that has already survived space. And it is waiting quietly for whatever comes next.